Hello and welcome to Ravenwoods. On today's episode, we've got a bunch of scary ghost stories that I found on the internet. Number one, I was visiting my mother after my dad died. She went shopping with her sister and left me alone in her house. I heard my dad as plain as day up in his room. He got up from his computer chair, walked over to the door, and opened it. He walked down the stairs and stood on the last step for a few seconds before walking back up to his room and closing the door. I was probably 5 feet from him in the living room. I just froze. It scared the hell out of me. Needless to say, I was a believer in ghosts after that. Number two, I worked at a public pool. At night, I would work alone after hours cleaning the building and the pool. One night, around 2 a.m., I was cleaning the changing rooms. The pool had been closed for 4 hours at this time. So suddenly I hear the sound of a child's laughter and bare feet running across the pool deck. I go out and scan the area, and there's nobody in sight. The doors are all closed and locked. There's nowhere a kid could be hiding. There are no wet footprints on the pool deck. I recheck the doors and the security monitors. I am the only person in the building. It was unsettling. Number three, my girlfriend's grandfather's ashes were on a little shelf in the living room, right next to a very solid and heavy angel statue. One weekend, she and I were fooling around on the living room couch, and out of the corner of my eye, I see the angel statue fly off the wall, accompanied by a deep grunt. We both stood there in shock, and after a few minutes, I asked her if she'd heard the grunt sound as well, to which she agreed. Later that night at dinner, we told her parents about what had happened, leaving out the naughty bit, obviously, and Megan's younger sister burst into tears, saying that she had seen a dark figure at the foot of her bed in the last couple of nights, but she didn't want anyone to think she was crazy. After that day, I was a believer. Number four, my uncle's house out on the very eastern part of New York was said to be haunted because the family that used to own it in the 1800s decided not to give it to a stableman and sold it instead. My uncle's friend and her sister stayed over one night, and her friend noticed a maid bringing towels down the stairs when she awoke. She saw the maid again bringing what she thought was a percolator down the stairs. She was so impressed by my uncle's hiring staff — she's a neurologist in New York City, so she had a habit of spending a little bit extra money — she went back to bed and woke up, and later came downstairs to see my uncle and his friend just chatting. She asked where the maid went, and thought that the maid was cooking breakfast. My uncle had no idea what she was talking about, and asked what she looked like. The sister explained, and he laughed, walked her to the living room, and pointed to an old picture. She said that was the woman. My uncle replied, "Yeah, she's been dead for over 100 years." Number five, my grandparents have a helpful ghost. Their house was built in the 1860s, and they've lived in it since the late 1960s. In an intense burst of procrastination one day, I looked up every mention of their address in the town's online newspaper archives and found out that the family that had built the house had a daughter who grew up there, never married, and took care of her widowed father until she later died of old age. So I figured the helpful ghost is just the daughter continuing to take care of people like she did for her entire life. Over the years, various family members have heard a vacuum cleaner turn on its own, and clothes and towels that were dropped on the floor before bed had been folded and placed at the foot of the bed by morning. Number six, we had ghosts in an old house that I lived in as a child. While being home alone, I could hear sweeping upstairs. Also, the tinkling of china and crystal from the dining room. It sounded like a party was happening, and you could hear a Victrola. I walked downstairs, and it suddenly all stopped. Number seven, I lived in a house for about 5 years that was haunted, but not in a malicious way, in a shitty roommate kind of way. I'd come home to the windows on the second floor being open when it was raining, to food containers being open in the fridge that I hadn't touched yet. The worst was that the ghost hated clocks. She hated them. I had two antique cuckoo clocks that had worked for 50 years that would just stop. Brand new wall clocks that ate through batteries like candy, My watch ended up on the floor one morning. The crystal shattered, even though I knew I slept with it on. The one that pisses me off the most was that I got a brand new Kit Kat clock for Christmas, and the bitch threw it off the wall. I was cooking, and out the corner of my eye, I saw the cat freaking fly. Turned around, and it was in the kitchen, broken. It was brand new. Man, she was a bitch. 8. I lived in an old haunted house in college. Things got so weird that everyone moved out except for me and one roommate. Here's a few of the things that happened. 1. I woke up at 3 a.m. because my roommate's door kept opening and slamming shut. From bed, I yelled for him to stop, only to realize I was the only one home that weekend. As soon as I yelled, the slamming stopped, but the hippie beads I had hanging outside my closed door began to sway perfectly, yet violently, against the door frame for a half an hour. While I debated if I should pop out my air conditioning unit and jump out the window, I laid in the fetal position in the bed until it stopped. 2. I woke up at 3 a.m., alone again, hearing the Nintendo on the back porch playing loudly. I figured a drunk kid came home and started playing. I grabbed a bat, walked towards the back of the house, and the music got louder and louder. As soon as I opened the door, it was completely quiet. Mind you, it was loud enough to wake me up. 3. I had friends over and told them the house was haunted. No one believed me, so I asked a ghost to do anything to prove it was there. As soon as I asked, all the lights in the house began flickering for about a minute straight. That was in the middle of the day. Everyone witnessed it. 4. Almost everyone who stayed at my house had sleep paralysis at least once in the house. 5. Every time something spooky happened, the house would smell like an old lady, flowery and strong perfume. 6. The house had a door built into the flooring that led to the basement. We had always had a rug covering it up so no one knew it was there. Things would constantly go missing in the house and turn up in the basement. This house had a coal chute from when it had been heated by coal back in the day. Missing stuff would always be replaced on the chute for us to come get. 7. Roommate had some issues. Once while playing video games late at night, he saw a kind of mist hovering from the kitchen and then move into the bathroom. The bathroom had a trap door that led to the attic. That's where we figured the old lady ghost used to hang out. 8. My roommate was up late. He went to go lock the doors and turn off the lights. When he turned his back on the room and walked to the door, someone breathed into his ear. Ha! He thought it was me, but I was sleeping. He turned around, pissed himself, and ran to his room. He was too afraid to come out and turn the lights off and the TV. 9. Loud thumps in the attic at all hours. For peace of mind, we told ourselves squirrels must have gotten in there. 10. Voices would wake us up in the middle of the night. I spent many mornings on the front porch waiting for the sun to come up before I went back in the house. 11. Coincidentally, I had a friend years later that rented from the same landlord, same town, different house, and he and all his roommates moved out because that house was also haunted. I didn't think it was too weird until he kept telling me that all the weird stuff that happened was accompanied by an old lady smell with flowery, stinky perfume. Also, a lot of people had sleep paralysis in that house as well. And all those were from a Reddit user called u/slash munchiez. And now move on to number 9. I had a one-bedroom apartment, and as soon as it got dark enough outside, this old dude would walk from the bedroom to the bathroom all night long. I would have to warn people the first time they came over. You're going to see a ghost. Mid-conversation, people would stop talking and be like, holy shit, I just saw a ghost. And I was like, yeah, no shit, I warned you. One time I was in the bathroom and he attempted to walk in and just dissolved into the mist that dissipated very quickly. My current house I share with my wife is a 3-bedroom, and we sleep on a futon in the living room because the ghosts in this house were chain smokers in the main bedroom. We'd wake up every night between 3:30 a.m. if we could sleep on the floor, coughing our lungs out because the room would be full of cigarette smoke. 10. I watched one of our cats being pulled backwards by 5 feet by her tail. She was walking through the dining area and suddenly was sliding backward as if someone was pulling her tail, only there wasn't anyone. She freaked out and tried to run, but couldn't immediately, as something held on to her for a brief second before letting her go. I tend to think that it was the handiwork of a 4 or 5-year-old girl ghost who hangs out, and she just wanted to play with the kitty. That's all for this episode. If you'd like to see more content like this, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching and have a great day.